whatever, it will never make you God. You know why? There's a difference between God and non-God. God is one that doesn't have anyone given power to him, glory to him. He's independent in his attributes, eternally possessing those attributes. Eternally. You are a being. If God gives you some power, you don't have it eternally, that doesn't make you God, because God, by definition, is an eternal being who possesses the attributes from eternity.
But Jesus can limit his power, sure, can't he? Right?
Can God limit his power and cease to exist?
He can cease to exist, but he can limit his own power.
Listen.
Why can't he do that?
Wait a second.
I can limit my power.
No, wait a second. Wait a second. Can God the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, together in Trinity, limit their power and cease to exist from tomorrow?
Why would they cease to exist?
Don't ask me why. Can they?
No, they can't cease to exist.
No. You just said they can, right?
They can't cease to exist.
So they cannot do everything.
No, they can't do what's logically impossible.
So let's understand that.
Yeah.
You are saying God cannot do what is logically impossible.
Exactly.
Can God go against his nature?
No.
Can God become ignorant while he was unknowledgeable?
Yeah. He can limit his own power. He can limit his knowledge.
Do you know what unknowledgeable means?
Yes.
Knows the past, present, and future. While you know the future, can you then not know it?
Right, but he can limit his access to his knowledge.
Wait.
Right? So God, I think you and I
you are an intelligent person.
No. You and I have a different understanding. Look, you keep talking, I can never
Okay,
speak.
explain.
We're doing the kind of teacher-student thing. It's a bit annoying. Right, so omniscience, right, to me, means having access to all knowledge.
Really?
But that doesn't mean that God can't limit his access temporarily for our purpose, for our sake, right?
So
in order
basically,
to be incarnate. And it's the same with omnipotence. I think omnipotence is the power to disposition to be able to do everything. But there's nothing logically impossible about not using such power at some point in history.
good. Are you consistent? Can God limit his access from his life, being alive, and cease to exist tomorrow?
No, he can't cease to exist.
No. Can he limit his access to his life? That he puts it away somewhere and he's dead.
Cease to exist.
Listen.
Forget cease to exist.
Can God limit access to his power? You said yes.
Yes.
Knowledge, you can yes. What about his life?
If you're talking about biological life...
No, not biological life. God is not biological person.
Life and existence are two different things. It's one thing to say that somebody dies. It's another thing to say that this person ceases to
Can he
exist.
limit his access from his existence, being existent all the time, and don't have access to that?
No, he will always exist and
Why?
always has.
Why are you now having double standard?
What's wrong with having... I don't understand.
Okay, why are you saying God's knowledge, you can just put it in a shelf and he doesn't know? What was the name? I can't remember because I don't have access to that particular, it's locked away.
Take it back.
Slow down.
Yeah.
You're saying God is such a being, he can lock his knowledge somewhere and he can say, when am I going to destroy the world? I don't know, you know what? Because it's locked away from me. I don't know anymore. Unless, slow down. Unless I go and open up the safe, and guess what? Imagine if the Son takes away the key, can the Father get it from him? Is the Son all-powerful enough to hide the key from the Father?
What? The Son...
Imagine now, it's all about lock and key, right? God the Father somehow locked his knowledge, access to knowledge, and put it in a safe. And it was locked with a key, so that he doesn't know. That key is now with the Son, and the Son hid it away. Can the Father have access to his knowledge anymore? Is the Son capable enough to keep the key hidden? Is the Son all-powerful enough to hide the key forever?
Oh, I'm so confused, Mansur. I don't understand.
Shall I explain to you in simple terms?
No, I don't understand what the problem is.
No, the problem is,
I really don't see it.
you see, limiting knowledge of God is like this. God puts it in a safe, at the top of the shelf somewhere. He doesn't have...
He can take it back at any time.
Listen.
He can take it back whenever.
No, listen. The way you think is like this. Knowledge up there, God can access it, but if he wants to, he can. So I'm saying now, imagine now, he put it up in a shelf, locked away with a key. The Son is all-powerful. In your belief, the Son of God is all-powerful. Is he all-powerful enough to hide the key forever and forever so that the Father has no access to his knowledge anymore?
No, because then that would mean that God the Father doesn't have access to his knowledge anymore. So it's not just that he's temporarily limited, it's that he's limited forever, right? Those are two different things.
I'm talking about whether the Son is God and all-powerful or not.
Yes.
If the Son was all-powerful, he should be able to hid it away.
You should be able to
hid the key away of access to knowledge, hide it away.
To me, that's like saying God can make a stone that he can't lift. It's
No, no, no,
logically
no.
contradictory. It's impossible.
No,
God can't,
no,
the
no,
sun can't do
no.
that.
No, let me tell you why the analogy is not valid. You are saying, can God create a stone? So giving ability of God. Does God have power and ability to create a stone?
Yeah.
And at the same time saying that he cannot lift mean he doesn't have the ability to lift it. So you're saying, does God have power and not power at the same time?
Yes.
But my question was different. You believe God is all-knowledgeable, but he can be less than all-knowledgeable if you want to. So he puts away...
his access to his knowledge.
That's what it means, less than all-knowledgeable. If you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow because you have no access to knowledge, you are not all-knowledgeable.
Well, I mean,
So you are saying
you are
God...
potentially all knowledgeable.
No.
Potentially
You are saying God is all-knowledgeable,
Yeah.
but he's not also all-knowledgeable because he has no access to it anymore.
Yeah, but he can easily just snatch it back.
No.
Right?
When you say
In the same
easily,
way that
I'm making
I
it
can lock
difficult.
my
I am
eyes
saying the
I
Son
can
of
put it back
God,
out again.
which is all-powerful in your belief,
Yeah.
he is all-powerful. Can he hide the key away, access to knowledge forever, so the Father remains ignorant forever?
No, because then that would mean that the Father is eternally limited.
Then
I
that
never
means-
said that the Father could be eternally
Thank you for
limited.
confirming them. Then the Son is not all-powerful.
Why not?
He failed miserably to hide the key forever. Because if he was all-powerful, he should be able to do it.
No, because
Hang on.
that would be breaking a logical law.
Wait.
To be all powerful is
Is
to
the-
do what is logically
Wait.
possible. It's logically impossible to hide something from the Father forever. Don't
Excuse
complain,
me.
you
Excuse
talk
me.
a lot.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
You believe the Son knows everything. The Father knows everything.
Now he does, yes.
Okay. So
Not while he was
so
incarnate.
can the Son have a secret that he can prevent access to this knowledge from the Father and the Son?
Not now, no.
Is he powerful enough to have secret thoughts that has the other two has no access of?
If the Father decides to limit his knowledge,
No, I'm
and
not
to
talking about that.
know, oh, come on, and to not know what the Son is saying,
I'm not saying about
then
that.
yes.
I am saying the Father and the Son, they can have their secret thoughts.
Yes.
If the Son has a secret thought,
Yes.
is he all-powerful enough
Right.
to keep his secret thought hidden from the Father?
Well, it's a logical impossibility, my friend. It's
Then he's not all-powerful.
Well, no, it's logically to be all powerful is to be able to do everything that it is logically possible.
That's
to
what
do.
I'm saying.
It is
Is
not
he-
logically possible to hide a secret forever from a divine person.
Hang on. If you are God,
Yes.
you have power over all things.
Yes.
Right. Can you keep your thoughts secret from everyone if you're God?
From everyone who isn't God. Yes. Everyone who isn't a divine person.
So basically, the divine person that you're talking about, they're so limited and unpowerful, not powerful enough to even keep the secrets from someone else.
Right,
So
Mansur,
basically, then you can explain. Basically, you're saying the Son or the Father are not powerful being enough to keep their secrets to someone else,
Okay,
from someone
audience,
else.
raise your hand if you think this debate is worthwhile.
Keep your
Raise your hand if you think this debate is worthwhile.
worthwhile.
That's a minority. So I'm pretty sure that we've lost the audience, and that
No,
this is just not helpful.
are you debating the audience or debating me?
We're debating for the benefit
Look at
of the
this.
audience.
No. I'm debating for the benefit of your own soul. If you believe in worship,
I'm so
look.
wonderful.
If you worship a God who has a son, and you die on that state, God has forbidden paradise, and hellfire will be the final abode. That goes for anyone, me, you, and everyone. But I know I don't believe God has a son, but you do. If you believe God has a son, and you believe and die on that state, hellfire will be your eternal abode, and there will be no out of the hellfire. No fragrance of heaven you'll ever smell. You'll remain there forever and forever.
So God's
that is a soul that will be punished and tortured because of this injustice that you have done
So
against
God is
God.
going to actively torture me forever because my theology is wrong.
God will punish those who set up partners with him and they do not repent before their death.
Don't you think it's a bit unjust for God to actively torture people just for getting their theology?
It's not forgetting.
Forgetting for
No,
misusing their
no.
theology.
If
Forgetting
you
the
reject
wrong-
God and reject his oneness, absolute pure oneness, then you deserve the eternal punishment of hellfire according to the God of all religions, which are Abrahamic and monotheistic.
No, I don't think that Abraham had a full, perfect understanding of God. That doesn't mean he's hellbound, right? You don't need. Why should it all be a theology test? And you have to have the exact right theology. Christians don't think that Abraham had the exact right theology.
It doesn't matter what you believe in God,
Christians
as long as you believe you're a good person. Is that what you're saying?
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that surely having the exactly correct theological details right isn't what determines your eternal destiny, right?
What determines your eternal destiny is to have correct belief about God. If you worship a monkey god or a banana god, and you think that you will be saved in the day of judgment, then you need to think twice.
I think it's pretty obvious that Christians don't believe in monkey gods and banana gods.
But you believe in a Palestinian God.
You
believe in a Palestinian God. You believe in a God who's a Palestinian.
Who is constituted by three persons. And we believe in a God who loved us enough to become God, to become man, right? To become incarnate and to suffer and to take on our sufferings for us. That is what I'd expect from a perfect being, not a being who just sits there on his throne and sits there.
A perfect being that punishes himself for the evil doings of others.
Who takes the cost.
Wait a second.
To himself.
Okay, let's understand one thing. Let's understand one thing. God created human beings knowing full well, according to your belief, Christian belief, that these human beings will be doing bad things. Knowing that, he says the only way I can save them is by torturing me, God himself, to save them.
That's better than out of the created gene.
Are you saying God, who created human beings knowing they are weak and they're going to make mistakes and commit sins, the only way he saves them is by saying, you know, people, I'm going to torture me and punish me to save you.
I'm glad you mentioned this, because you're touching on how wonderful God is.
That's wonderful.
God knew that if he created us, if he had a relationship with beings like us, it would cost him an infinite cost. And yet he did it anyway, because that's how much he loves us, right? He knew what it would cost. He knew it from the start. And yet he did it anyway, because
Can God
he loves
punish
us
himself?
so much.
Can God punish himself?
He can take a cost onto himself.
Slow down.
The same way that I can pay somebody's debt.
Slow down. So you're saying God can be punished?
He can bear the cost of something. He can bear a cost onto himself.
That's not the discussion. You are saying God can actually punish and torture himself.
He can pay the cost that someone else is supposed to pay.
Slow down.
If you want to call that punishing yourself, fine. I don't.
Do you not believe that God punished and tortured himself and suffered himself?
He paid the cost that we were supposed to pay. Yes.
Okay. So who is he pleasing by paying the penalty? Himself. So God punishes himself to please himself.
What do you mean by pleasing?
Wait. So God punishes himself to please himself.
I mean, pleasing isn't the ultimate goal, right? The ultimate goal is to
appeasing himself.
To satisfy the demands of justice. Right? It's not about being happy.
Justice?
Right? To satisfy the demands of justice.
And
of love.
Okay. Does justice demand that the criminal who committed the crime be punished, or someone on their behalf as a volunteer?
Well, human justice and divine justice.
No, divine
different,
justice.
Right. Well, we both believe that divine justice and human justice are different. For example, in human justice, we're not allowed to throw people into hell, are we?
No, divine justice.
But God is allowed to do it. So some things we can't do, but God can do. So it doesn't help to say, but we don't do it. Why can God do it?
Let's understand what we're discussing. In the divine justice, God punishes a volunteer because they're volunteering instead of punishing the person who's committed the crime. And that you consider that justice?
Yes, absolutely. If it's himself. God isn't going to pick a random innocent person and say, hey, you, I'm going to punish you for what this guy did. That's not what he does at all. Now, God pays the cost himself. That's the good news, by the way.
Did he actually pay?
Yes, he paid it.
I don't think so.
Why not?
Okay. If I died, rejecting Christianity, being a rebel, and blaspheming the Christian God, what would be my punishment?
Okay, this is where Christians disagree. I happen to be an annihilationist.
According to the text.
According to the text, in my view, hell is not a continuous experience of suffering. I think hell is a kind of destruction.
Okay, so what would be my punishment according to the text?
To be destroyed.
Destroyed.
Yes.
Good. Did you all hear that?
Yep.
My punishment is to be destroyed and annihilated from existence.
I don't know about annihilate. Yeah, I mean.
Clarify again. What would be my punishment?
To be destroyed. I don't know.
What does it mean by destroyed? I'm a bit confused.
To be brought to an utter state of. How do I explain this? Well, I don't have an answer to everything. I'm a human being.
No problem. So what would be my destruction? would I
don't know
exist?
exactly how it works.
Would I still exist in the destruction?
Right. Maybe some form of yourself, perhaps.
Okay.
But
Right.
certainly a shadow, nothing what you were before.
Very good. So that would be my punishment, right? So if someone were to be a volunteer and to take the punishment from me and put it on their shoulders, it should be a like-for-like punishment, isn't it? For example, just to illustrate the point, if I take some money from you, borrow from money from you, £1,000, and if I were to pay back, you would expect me to pay back £1,000 or 1 penny? £1,000, like for like, like for like. So if I going to be punished with this destruction, the nature you describe, someone who's going to be a volunteer, which happens to be God, should suffer the same punishment that I was to suffer, and you are to suffer, and every human being to suffer. Okay, just be me. Did your God suffer the same kind of destruction that I would have suffered? To have paid like for like.
Separated from God.
No, that's not the question.
He suffered.
My punishment was destruction in the way you described.
Yes.
If someone's going to be a volunteer, Tom, Dick and Harry or God himself in your belief,
Yeah.
that volunteer has to equally, likewise, suffer the same punishment that I was going to suffer. If that person did not suffer, then basically they haven't paid the penalty. Like if I borrowed £1,000 from you, and my friend volunteered, and he gave you £200 in return. Has he paid fully? No, he hasn't paid fully. So that volunteer is not actually fully paid the penalty. It will be fully when he pays £1,000, which was the point that I borrowed, money I borrowed. If I was going to be destroyed in whatever sense you had, did your God, when he took the voluntary punishment on himself,
Yes.
was he destructed and destroyed the manner that I was going to be?
Right. The answer is no, and here's why.
Then he didn't pay the penalty.
Right,
Khalas.
here's why.
There's no point.
No, the
Here's
penalty
why.
is the same.
No, there's no
The
point
penalty
discussing
is the
anymore.
same. No, the penalty is the same. The difference is our ability to bear it.
No.
Right? No, it isn't.
Doesn't matter.
So the Son of God,
Doesn't matter.
God incarnate,
What?
God incarnate can undergo the penalty that we deserve without being eradicated from existence.
You've answered
Right?
the question.
Whereas we are weaker.
Whether
we
you
are
give him
weaker, we are
£10
free,
notes or £20
vulnerable.
notes or a £1,000 note, doesn't matter. The problem is you have to pay him £1,000. You are saying, you know what, he didn't. So you are admitting as a Christian that your belief does not make sense theologically, rationally, because your God, who's supposed to have paid the penalty, did not even pay the penalty for one person, let alone the whole world. What do I have to say anymore?
The Son of God is the worth of the Son of God
Doesn't
is
matter.
much greater.
He failed
does
to
the
take
cost-
the penalty as a volunteer
The
to even
sufferings-
take the penalty of one person.
Because the Son of God has such intrinsic high worth. Because the Son of God has such intrinsic worth.
Did the Son of
sufferings
God
the Son of
suffer the like that I suffered?
Right, but the Son of God, the sufferings of the Son of God, because he has a higher position of honor.
Doesn't matter
Because,
who you are.
no, it does matter. It does matter. It really does. Right? Because if we, no, it does.
I will tell you why it doesn't matter.
It matters because the worth
If he
of
was
the Son of God
if he was the
is much
judge,
more
brother,
than your worth
if
and my worth.
listen, if he was the judge,
Yeah.
right, saying, look, I cannot pay him back, but the judge volunteers, and he says, you know what, I give you £200. Because he's a judge, are you saying that's okay? I'm saying no, that's not justice. Doesn't matter if you're a judge or the king. You still have to pay
But he's still
£1,000
a
back.
human. He's a human. He's
Listen,
not the
listen,
incarnate
listen.
Son of God.
Justice.
So he has the same worth as
Listen,
we.
justice. We talked about justice. You just demonstrated justice has not been served in your belief. Justice means your God should have suffered what I would have suffered. But your God
It doesn't
did
have to
not.
be exactly.
It has to be.
No,
That's what justice
already,
means.
Mansur, we've already established that divine
Excuse me,
justice.
that's it.
Excuse me. We've already established that divine justice and human justice were different things. Some things we are entitled to. Some things we are not entitled to do in our human courts that God is entitled to do. For example, as human beings, we do not have the right to throw people into hell. We don't have the right to torture people for unbelief. But God, according to your belief, does have the right. So it really doesn't help to use human analogies and say, "Oh, look, we wouldn't do this here. We wouldn't do it like that."
So clarify
Human
one thing then.
justice- human
So you
justice
believe
and divine
the
justice.
God's justice is,
Yeah.
if he's going to do this repayment
Yes.
for retribution or anything,
Yes.
God can get away with paying less.
Oh yeah, why not?
That's his
He's
justice.
God. He's God.
So yeah, and that's his justice. So God's justice is skewed. He's actually paying less, and you pay more. So human justice, you know what skewed means? God's justice it's not on a higher standard that like for like punishment, he gets away with paying less.
And in the same way, Allah gets away with torturing people forever.
Hang
when we
on.
don't get away
Hang on. I'm not sure how you bring this analogy about Allah getting away.
Because we all
Allah
believe that
punishes.
the standards of God
Look.
are different from
Allah
our standards.
punishes the people because
Yes.
of their evil doings.
Yes, but he
you believe.
produces-
But you believe
Yes.
God punishes himself, but he doesn't actually punish himself like for like. He punishes himself.
That's fine.
He commits what we call favoritism and nepotism.
Favoritism towards human beings.
No.
Oh, wow.
He commits.
I don't mind that.
He commits something that we abhor. He commits nepotism.
Why is it nepotism?
Let me tell you what nepotism is.
Yeah, I know what nepotism is. But
And
why
I
is it
don't think you appreciate. For example, this judge,
Yep.
because he's a judge, he says, you know what, I'm a judge,
Yep.
I'm not going to pay £1,000. There you go, £200 and get lost, I paid it. And you have to accept it because he's the judge. Or imagine now, he's your father and the son business. You know what, it's fine. Because he's his father, it's okay to pay less. No, we can't favor because he's a father or a judge or a king. In Islam, justice is like this. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said, even if Fatima, my daughter, was to steal, her hand should be cut off. Justice for all.
Yes, but that's human court,
hang
isn't
on. That's a sense of justice which is on a higher standard than your standard that you are putting for God. God gets away with paying less. And he says, you know what, I am a
Might be
just
less,
God.
but it's still a hell of a lot, man.
Doesn't matter, it's a hell of a
Still a
lot.
lot.